Hey guys, so I am in the Big Bear area, on the eastern part of Big Bear here in Southern California, and today I'm going to take you on a search. Thought I heard one. A search for wild burros. We're in the Big Bear wild burro territory, which you might not even know is here, but I have seen them out here, usually in the morning. It's a big area. It's about, I think, 35 or 38,000 square feet. And what happened was, over the years, burros were released by miners, movie sets, whatever it might be. They used to roam all around Big Bear. Eventually, in the late 90s, they became a quote-unquote nuisance. So the Forest Service relocated them all into eastern Big Bear and created this wild burro territory where they live here. They're originally from, I think, Africa, and then Europe and then America. But so they're not a native species, but they are here. There's about 60 of them. They're big. They're about 500 pounds. They're gray. And you do experience these all over the, I guess, Southwest. There's some around Vegas and Arizona. I've seen them. But anyway, in this video, I'm going to do about maybe 11, 12 miles. We'll check out Onyx Peak as well. But we'll go through some of the wild burro hotspots and see if we can spot any. And if you want to come and do it yourself, as always, I'll have a guide on Hiking Guy where I'll show you what the hike is. I'll also include a map that has other hotspots for wild burros. So if you want to explore some other places, I'll tell you where you can go look for them. And as you're watching the video, as always, if you're enjoying it, if you give me a little thumbs up, it helps me out a ton. So thank you for that. But otherwise, let's hit the trail and see if we can spot some wild burros here in Big Bear, California. Let's go. All right, so from Onyx Summit, which is the parking lot down there, it's actually a saddle. We're just going to go up the paved path, and we're going to get to this big junction. On the left, you saw that white gate. We're going to be ending the hike there, but we're going to go straight up here, and eventually you're going to see a little pile, or big pile of boulders right here. We're just going to go straight past these and continue up the hill. Now, when you go up the hill, if you turn around and you look backwards, you're going to get nice views of San Bernardino, the summit, and the high peaks over there. And we're just going to keep going up, and this is all within a few minutes here, this very beginning part. And eventually we're going to get to the junction with the PCT, which is right here. And we're going to make the left and head on to the PCT. And once you're on the PCT, we're going to be on some really beautiful single track for a while as it goes along the ridge. You can see there's a sign up there saying our next milestone will be the 1N01 road, literally in a mile. It's a milestone. But this whole stretch is a little bit of uphill, then it starts a nice cruisy downhill. It's really, really beautiful as you go through all the pines and the cedars here. It's hard to describe how nice it is. And as you go, again, you're going to get nice views if you look back towards the what they call the San Bernardino's high line, so San Gorgonio and the high peaks above 11,000 feet over there. Otherwise, let's continue on this, and here we are a mile in at the 1N01 road, and we're just going to go ahead and cross it. Now when we come back, we're going to come down that road, so just a heads up, we're going to come back through this junction towards the end. But otherwise, we're going to go straight through here and keep on heading down to our next landmark, which will be the next road down there. So I believe it's 2N01. And you can see here, really, really scenic. And keep your eyes open. I have seen burro down here before, so heads up. We're going to cross over an old road, Forest Service road here. You can see, I don't even think it's open to vehicles anymore. But it's easy just to not even see it. But there's a PCT sign telling us we're in the right place as we continue down here. And you might actually meet some PCT hikers depending on when you're doing this. Here we're going back through that road. There's a little post. There's somebody camping over there. I did meet in the fall a couple of southbound PCT hikers, and I have seen obviously northbound hikers here in the spring. So that's always fun saying hi to PCT folks. But anyway, after a long, nice cruisy downhill, we're going to reach the Forest Service Road 2N01, where we're going to make the right-hand turn and say bye-bye to the PCT at this point. Now we're going to be on this Forest Service Road. It's not a busy road by any stretch of the imagination, so you don't have to worry about cars zipping by you as you go here. And here is a clue, a nice wild burro turd. So maybe we'll see some as we continue here, maybe not, who knows what's going on, but we're going towards the next sort of hot spot for the burros, which is called Broom Flats, which is straight ahead down to the left over there. We're going to be walking down through and around there. If you have binoculars, this is a good hike to bring the binoculars on to go scan down there, but I have seen them down on Broom Flats before as well, so good place to check. Now here we are, the road has come down. There's another road that comes in from the left. We're going to avoid that and just keep hiking around the flats. This is a great place to spot them around here. They often will graze in these fields over here. And once you get to the bottom, we're going to make the right-hand turn up towards the Juniper Springs Group Campground over here. And this, I guess, starts the beginning of the climbing portion. Everything from back from the beginning was pretty much downhill. Now we're going to start climbing up. And again, you can see it's a Forest Service road, but it is very beautiful. It's pretty mellow. I'm not sure if I've ever seen any traffic on any of these roads, being out here a few times. As you continue and head up towards the campground, you're going to see some ponds and watering holes. Another great place to spot the wild burro as you're going. Nothing there right now, but there's definitely a network of burro trails and everything around this campground. And here we are at the Juniper Springs Campground. It's a group campground. You can book it if you have to go to the bathroom. I think there's a vault toilet here, primitive toilet, that you can use. But otherwise, we're just going to go past the campground over to the right. This part can be a little bit tricky. There's some kind of turnarounds here because any of the road traffic that does get up here will turn around here generally. But you're going to go straight and then go around this gate that says road closed. Now the road is closed for vehicles, not for hikers. And now we're going to start the sweating portion of the program where we're going to do uphill on these old mining 4x4 roads, very rocky, very steep. There are some breathers like this little section here, but in general this is the part where you're going to do most of the 2,000 feet of climbing that's involved in the hike up to the Onyx summit. There are nice views down into the desert over to the east there as we climb up, and you know, it's not too bad. I've definitely done worse, but it's definitely tough. You'll have to work for it. And up sort of the halfway point of this climb, there's a cabin. I've heard it referred to as Doc's cabin. Otherwise, I don't know anything about it. So if you do know something, just let me know. Shoot me a comment or an email. And a little bit past the cabin, there's another turnoff. We're going to bear to the right here and continue our uphill slog towards Onyx Peak over here on these old mining roads, old 4x4 roads here. And as you go up, you can see it's rocky. You can kind of get an idea of the steepness from this shot. It's steep. You know, there's no switchbacks. You're just going to go straight up as we go here. And if I look down here, I could see some hoof prints, but it looks like these are mule deer. So no burro at this point. I have seen them on the other side of this hill, on the other side of Onyx Peak, so maybe we'll see them on the way. When we get towards the top, there's going to be a smaller 4x4 road that comes in from the right. We're just going to bear left and keep heading up to the saddle up here to the ridge. Eventually going to come to this old fence line, and then this is the road 1N01, which we saw earlier. When we come back down, we're going to go down to the right. But to go up to the summit, let's go ahead and make the left and continue on this road. Now this road is uphill, but it's definitely not nearly as steep as the last portion. Eventually you can see Onyx Peak straight ahead. It's got some radio towers up on top. If you do see traffic here, it's always just people going up to service the radio towers, mostly. That's what I've seen. There is a split as we near the top, a fork. There's a road that goes downhill to the left. We're going to go straight and continue uphill up to the summit. And eventually you're going to kind of come around a bend and you're going to get some really postcard perfect kind of picture views of San Gorgonio in the distance. And those will be with you as we go up to the summit for the next, whatever it is, half mile, mile or so, up until we get to the summit. We'll be able to see it again, of course, from the summit. Eventually you can see the radio towers poking out. Now the summit's not the prettiest summit area. There's a bunch of different radio tower complexes to the right, to the left, Off to the left where you see that pickup truck, that's where the actual summit marker is. And if you go to the edge of the fence up there, you will find the USGS summit register, summit peak right there. And off to the, or straight ahead, you're going to get views into the desert, and you can see into the high peaks of Joshua Tree. You can see Warren Peak from up here. It's all pretty nice. And if you go over to the right, you can see the San Jacinto and San Gorgonio over there, but more towers. If you've seen them before, it's probably not worth a trip over, but otherwise you can just poke around and check out the desert views here. And when we go back, you're going to get nice views of Sugarloaf Mountain, poking its head up above the ridge over there. But otherwise, we're going to keep on heading downhill along the road. We're going to pass the area where you came up onto the road, right here. And we're just going to continue on downhill back to the start, back to that white gate that we saw when we first started the hike originally. And you can see it's a pretty, nice road going down here. Again, it's pretty backcountry. It's not busy here. Here's the junction with the PCT that we passed earlier, except this time we're not going on the PCT. You could take the PCT back from here the way we came, up to the left right there. But otherwise, we're just going to keep on going straight until we get back down to the start. And along the way, you're going to get nice views kind of to the northwest of Baldwin Lake. Now, Baldwin Lake is another good hotspot for Burro. If you don't see them at this point like we have, and I have seen them on the downhill portion of this hike before, so maybe you'll see them at the end. Who knows? But if not, we're just going to go through the gate, and this is the end of the hike. Now just hang out for a second, and I'll show you what this whole thing looks like on a map, and I'll give you a lay of the land of the Wild Burro territory. All right, so here's the map. We're going to do this loop in a clockwise fashion, so we're going to go along here and around up to the summit and then back down. Now this isn't an official trail. This is just me trying to hit some of the main places where I've seen wild burros before. At the end of this, I'll show you some other points around here where you can try to check them out. But here's the parking area at Onyx Summit. We're going to go up to the junction of the PCT. We're going to follow the PCT around. And then this is the PCT up here. And you can see when we come back on 1N01, we're going to come back down just a little bit lower. This is the crossing over the road here from the PCT. And then we have this nice long cruisy downhill over here until we get to this road, the 2N02. You can also drive in here. This road's a little rough, but there is a little parking area. If for some reason you want to start at the low point and then hike the loop up that way, that's another option. But from here, we're going to head onto the road and start our gradual uphill until this ridge here. And then we're going to do a descent down into Broom Flats, which are over here. This is another popular spot for the Burro. And as you descend here, you're going to get nice views into the flat. This is that road that turned off to the side. I think it's 2N04. Don't quote me. I'll put it in the guide. But then from down here on the flat, we're going to do basically start the climb up to the peak from here. And here, if you see I swing around, that's where we're going eventually, way up the peak. We're going to start down the flat. This is the pond where the watering hole was. Here's the group campgrounds, more watering holes up here. And this is the steep 4x4 road going up. There was the cabin that we saw earlier. And if we swing around, you can see it's steep as we cut back here. And then we get up to this ridge right here where we join the 1N01 once again. Then we get back onto the 1N01. We're going to make the left and then continue on this road that follows the ridge up till we get to the summit. And if I swing this around, you can see the views that we're getting over here of San Gorgonio and the high peaks. But otherwise, we're going to go up to the summit right here. When we get to the summit, I mentioned there was a few different places. Over here is where the summit marker is. And then over here, you can see San Jacinto in the distance. And if we swing around this way, you can see some of the high peaks over towards Joshua Tree. Anyway, beautiful views from there. Even if it's not the nicest summit in the world, it's still worth a visit. And then once we're done at the summit, We're going to just go back down the way we came. You can see here's the road. This is the 1N01. There was that road that split off over there. Now when we get back to the point where we came into the 1N01, instead of going back down towards the cabin, we're instead going to switch and go around on the 1N01. It's going to go down here. We cross the PCT, and then it roughly parallels the PCT back to the parking lot. Now let me show you some of the other areas where you might be able to spot the burro. So here's an overview. The wild burro territory is roughly in this area over here. It's about 52 square miles, I think. Here's Big Bear Lake, just to give you some reference, and here's 38. If you've ever done the hike, the South Fork Trail to San Gorgonio, it's down over here. If you want to do another alternate hike, I have a one that goes along the Arrastray Creek right here, which is a perennial creek. Sometimes it flows underground, but this is supposed to be a hot spot. I have seen them around here in the past before. But this is another option if you want to go through and just stay on the PCT and stay on single track. You can do this hike down here. Another big place that's relatively easy to spot them is around Baldwin Lake, which is over here. It's dry in this picture. You basically drive into this residential neighborhood, park, and you can walk on these dirt roads. And I've seen them over here quite a bit, but it's not quite as scenic as the PCT and the higher elevation areas that we're going to go on the hike that I just showed you. So that's another place. And then you can also, if you have a high clearance vehicle, you can drive back on these roads towards Rose Mine and Round Valley. These are other areas that the Forest Service says are frequented by the wild burros. I personally have not been back there to check it out, but I have seen them up in this area before. I have seen them around here, and I have definitely seen them around Broom Flats and Onyx Summit, the area where we are in this one. If you've seen them, just leave a comment in the YouTube videos. Let other people know where you're spotting them, so that if somebody's looking at the video, they can maybe get a read on where they are now. And yeah, guys, hopefully you found this interesting, and I will see you out there. Bye.